So hello there, people of the internet, and here we go, another Resto Druid video. So, to quickly answer a question, how was my Christmas? Amazing, as always. Alright, I got a couple of those questions. In my family, we have never had a bad Christmas. We always get together, we eat together, then we give each other gifts, and it's wonderful, you know, 5 days of love, and maybe 7, maybe 10, you know. So, yeah. Always wonderful Christmas. I can't remember a single time when we had bad Christmas. Always amazing. But today, we're here to talk about yet another playstyle for your Restoration Druid. Maybe something that you might be scared of because it's different. Alright? And it's you know, understandable. Excuse me, had to cough. So today we're going to talk about Soul of the Forest in combination with Rampant Growth. Now this scares the shite out of people. Same with Dream of Scenarios. Why? Because unlike the other talents, this changes your playstyle quite significantly. Alright? With, you know, Incarnation, every 3 minutes you can turn into a broccoli and keep people alive. You're a turret of love, you're just throwing healing everywhere. Not with Soul of the Forest. Right? Even if you want to go full inefficient bitch healing with Incarnation, you're still gonna probably end up with more mana, and you're probably gonna yourself later than if you go Soul of the Forest, Rampant Growth, and go balls to the wall. Alright? I would say this is more advanced way to play a Restoration Druid. Alright? I'm not very comfortable with it yet, even. You know, and I've been practicing it for quite a while. I've been doing many dungeons. I've done a couple of mythic bosses with this setup. I've done basically everything on heroic with this setup. And I'm still not very comfortable with it. But it's a great playstyle if you know what you're doing. You need to be really careful with your mana, because all the possibilities you have, you're basically not limited by the amount of healing you can dish out. Alright, that is not an issue. You need 50k HPS for a while, you can do that with this setup. But it's really easy to run out of mana, so I would say the learning curve is much higher because you need to react to situations that are happening. Alright, if you learn a boss fight perfectly, you can create your own structure. You know, I'm gonna Swiftmend here, I'm gonna Wild Growth there, I'm gonna Swiftmend there, Swiftmend here, Swiftmend there, Swiftmend here. Alright, so if no one fucks up and you kind of planned it, you will not run out of mana, okay? I've tried this, I've kind of done Kargath, you know, and the easier bosses on Heroic, where I am very comfortable with the fight, so I can plan in, you know, in advance and kind of plan my Swiftmends accordingly. So, with this setup, the amount of healing, as I have said, you can pull out 40k, 50k HPS for a while before you completely yourself. Alright, so what this does, okay, you can consume your rejuvenation and regrowth. By the way, this is one important thing, okay? I would not use the glyph of regrowth with this build. Why? Because Swiftmend prefers regrowth to rejuvenation. And if you have, you know, clear casting procs, you can kind of turn them into a lot more than just a free regrowth. Because you use a free regrowth on a tank, okay, and he's gonna get hit because he's the tank, and if he's not a monk, he's gonna get hit and he will receive damage. So you can Swiftmend it off of him and use that healing somewhere else. Alright? It's also a very good idea if the healing isn't intense or the damage incoming isn't too intense, to wait for regrowth or rejuvenation to tick down and Swiftmend it towards the end. Alright, so if I cast a regrowth, if you need to... Why is my cast bar moved? That is irritating. Alright, if the period of damage is about to come up, you know, and it's not happening yet, I can wait for the last tick of regrowth so it does the most healing. But if I need to do a lot of healing, alright, let's say AoE healing, you're in a 5-man and you're in Shadowmoon Burial Grounds, you're before Ner'zhul's chamber, and you have these two big dudes. You have shit DPS, they are not interrupting. You know that damage is gonna come in. So what you can do, if you get a clear casting proc or not, it doesn't really matter. You know, you can just bump up the tank with the regrowth and immediately Swiftmend it and turn it into a Wild Growth. This Wild Growth will do 50% more healing. As simple as that. Okay, you can take some of your healing, consume it with Swiftment, and use that healing somewhere else. All right, and this is where really good resto druids excel. All right, not me. As I've said, I'm still not very comfortable with this whole setup because I tend to kind of panic a bit at times, and I Swiftman at the wrong times, and I will just eat a full rejuvenation, which is a waste of mana, of course, because if you just rejuve someone and then you Swiftman them, it's pointless. You've just used a bunch of mana and it accomplished pretty much nothing. All right, so that's one of the problems I'm doing. I'm not really watching my HOTS, and I'm Swiftmending in accordingly. But the tank is about to die. This is kind of the very brutal bitch healing you can do with this kind of stuff, alright? So you go regrowth, you Swiftmend it, and then you regrowth again. That regrowth will do 50% more healing. Look down here. This regrowth just crit for 54k. Alright? 54k. Normally, 27k. And in between, we have Swiftmend for 21.5k. Alright, this is very simple. It's very mana inefficient. Okay, that's just 10k mana gone. But you can do that. You can just bump someone up. As a resto druid, this is kind of what you can do with Incarnation. Alright, but with Incarnation, it's a lot less efficient. It's actually less efficient because regrowth is 6k mana. Swiftment is 4k mana. Alright, and because you use Swiftment to consume your regrowth, and you bumped yourself up with Soul of the Forest, this next regrowth is going to do 50% more healing. So this is more efficient than having Incarnation. Now, in terms of utility, I would say you have more with this, even though I would say Incarnation is much better for blanket healing people, because it just increases the healing of your rejuvenation. So for blanketing, and big AoE healing, Tree of Life, for the duration, for the 30-second duration, is just gonna win. It's just gonna win. It's better for fights where you really need that healing, when you really need that just burst of healing for a while, and then it's okay to not have that healing for a bit as well. Now, what are the other things you can do? Well, you can cast Healing Touch with this, which is kind of a filler for this, alright? If you can Swiftmend something, and you kind of... I'm not really using it for Healing Touch. There is no point for me to use it for Healing Touch, because regrowth is going to do the same amount of healing, alright? Or same amount of healing. It's going to do more healing than that, alright? And the cast time is pretty much the same, so I'm not using it for Healing Touch. I don't know why the Healing Touch thing is in there. I've never used it for that. And if you need some healing, well, what you can do is Swiftmend regrowth of your tank and throw rejuvenation on someone else. Simple as that. It gives you so many choices, and I think this is what scares people, because it gives you a choice and it gives you a responsibility. Okay, you have to play with this very intelligently, because if you're not, you're just wasting mana. Alright. Now, let's just target this fellow right here. So, as I've said, first situation, tank is getting beaten, alright? So, we're just gonna pump him up, alright? For a while, let's say Impale on Kargath. On Mythic, hurts a lot. For some reason, you don't have cooldowns. You don't have Iron Bark, you don't have Sacrifice, you don't have anything, okay? So, you need to bitch heal him up. This is gonna keep him alive. Okay, also, another example is the second to last boss. When someone is soaking up the shield, and you, I don't know, don't have paladins to have beacons on him, or you don't have 2 druids like we usually do, so just HOTS are fine. This is gonna keep him alive if something goes pear-shaped, alright? So that's the first kind of thing you can do. The next thing, as I've said, you are in a 5-man, and this works for Butcher as well, alright? Butcher is about to apply his 3rd stack on Group 1. So what you can do is regrowth the tank in advance. You can Swiftmend it, and then you have 15 seconds, which is enough time. Alright, plus the regrowth, you have about 20 seconds window where you can do this, okay? So they're about to take that damage. They just took the damage, boom. Big wild growth. And, you can hope that the wild growth actually picks them. But this is what you can do, alright? Preparation equals big healing. Alright, preparation equals big healing. And while that's true for every healer and every DPS and every tank, you know, preparation equals more DPS. Preparation equals less damage taken. With these talents, it does just so much more. Okay, another example. One of your DPSers took damage and you currently have a regrowth ticking on your tank. Alright, and you know he's about to soak something or he's about to take damage. You can swift mend it off him. You can rejuvenate him. Alright, that rejuvenation will do 50% more healing, which means that he's probably fine. He shouldn't get hit by anything else. You know, if he is about to get hit by something else, you cast a different heal. Okay, what you can do is, oh, he took damage, you know, I'm gonna regrowth him. Okay, but you know, this is really hard to demonstrate without situations where you need to use this. All right, I've thought about how to explain this and how to kind of, you know, push people into trying it, but it doesn't really work. Okay, I see too many Resto Druids just running the good old incarnation with germination and probably Nature's Vigil or Heart of the Wild. I see too many of them. Sorry, I had to sneeze there. You probably don't want to hear that. So I see too many Druids using that. Right, even in 5-mans. For 5-mans, this is the ideal setup. Why? Because, you know, if you run a 5-man with a Druid, tell me how many times he used Incarnation, he used Tranquility, he used Iron Bark, and all that kind of stuff, you know. Healers, for some reason, don't use their cooldowns to help themselves. Okay? Cooldowns, no more, you know, for you as a Druid, cooldowns are not, oh shit, something bad happened, I need to fix it. That's not what Tranquility is gonna do. Alright, for you. So you kind of need to use your cooldowns. First of all, with this it's much easier because you don't have too many cooldowns. You have Out of the Wild, which if you combine it, you know, if you have this period where Incarnation would be good, but the rest of the fight screams Soul of the Forest all over it, you can pick Heart of the Wild and you can kind of combine those two. So you can be, you don't have to spend as much mana to do the same amount of healing as you would when you would spend that much mana, right? So you have to spend less mana to do the equal amount of healing when you pop Heart of the Wild. That's what I wanted to say, but I just couldn't find the right words. So for this, give this a try, alright? It's dodgy at first. It is dodgy as hell at first. But you have to find your Swiftmend times. Okay, Swiftmend spots. Alright, you know that you're in a 5-minute, once again, Shadow Moon Burial Ground. They're just gonna take damage here. I know they're not gonna interrupt, so get ready for a big wild growth. Soul of the Forest wild growth. Alright, on Butcher, they're gonna take the stack. Get ready for another big wild growth. You can even force them. Alright? So what I usually do, when I combine it with Dream of Cenarius, is I have enough mana to use Regrowth to reset my Life Bloom. Pretty simple, isn't it? Yeah, very simple. So what I do is this. Let's switch to Dream of Cenarius. Alright, and I have Life Bloom on my tank. Let's just pop Harmony. And I'm wrathing away. Okay, I'm wrathing away. There we go. We have Clear Casting, and Life Bloom is about to fall off, and they're about to take damage. So what I can do is Regrowth, Swift Mend, and boom, big wild growth. And then I can wrath away. Alright? So this, in combination with Dream of Cenarius, helps your mana, because you can go into this Dream of Cenarius, you know, mana regen state, where it's just wrathing away and you're refreshing your Life Bloom and your Harmony, you're refreshing your Mushroom, maybe rejuvenating people here and there. But what you can do is turn that into more healing. Alright, with Dream of Cenarius, you're wild growthing a lot. So just get ready for that, you know? Get ready for your big wild growth. Why not? Why not? Why can't you be like a Discipline Priest and just have a bunch of healing with wild growth? If it works and it keeps people alive, why not? You can do that and then Swift Mend it. Then we can wild growth it, which eats up a lot of mana, but we can just wrath away a couple of times, and we will have full mana before wild growth comes off of cooldown. And then we can do the same thing. We'll regrowth, we'll Swift Mend it, and we'll wild growth it. Okay? It's kind of, you know, you really need to analyze what this situation needs, which is what you do as a healer. Alright, you do whatever it takes to keep people alive and not run out of mana, so you can keep them alive until the end of the boss fight. Alright, so you really have to find basically the sweet spot rotation for you, where you know when you can be more mana inefficient, because after that period of big raid damage or group damage, you can just wrath away for a while again. Alright, so you know, either play with Dream of Scenarios, which will make it more, I would say, technical, where you really need to think about, can I wrath here? Should I prepare for a big Swiftman for Soul of the Forest, so I can do big AoE healing with Wild Growth, or big spot healing with Regrowth and Rejuvenation? Or do I really need that Heart of the Wild to pop it and just bombard everybody with healing to keep them alive? I want Imperator, Margok, or something like that. When you have the exploding ads, you know, everyone stacks up, everyone blows their cooldown, you zerg the ads, and they explode when they die. So that would be a great time. Right? If you don't zerg them at once and they kill your raid through the cooldowns, you know, they're gonna explode one after another, after another, after another for a couple of seconds usually, because you can't really get them down all at once, right? It would be the perfect solution, and that's, you know, what a guy in a guide might tell you, you know, you need to zerg them at once, but if you do that, they're gonna kill you. So, you know, you can just pump people up, and you, for a while, you will switch into more of a shaman playstyle, where you're pumping people up. But if you have Dream of Scenarios, you know, you can still do that, but it's gonna cost you more mana, and you have to take more time out of your, you know, kind of like efficient healing. Right, so it's kind of complicated, but it's not that hard. All right, you kind of need to do things differently every now and then, here and there. But at the end, I find this a much more engaging playstyle, where I need to constantly think about what's going on and react accordingly, or just pre-plan everything, which is something I like to do, because I used to be a boomkin. As a boomkin, if you want DPS, you need to know your shit. And you also need to know the shit that's about to be thrown on your face. Alright, so I like to do that, because I was a boomkin, you know, that was a thing I did. I've learned the boss fights, and then I've exploited every single thing that was exploitable to get as much deeps as possible, while not being a burden to my raid, by taking, you know, too much damage from shit and stuff like that. So I really like this playstyle. You should give it a try. Definitely give it a try. It's something different, alright? It's not the same. You'll have to learn a couple of new things, but when you pull it off, it feels really good, alright? If you pull it off and, you know, people just pull too much shit. They pull too much shit, and you don't let anyone die, you end up, you know, with this mass grave of a dungeon and 42k HPS on the meter, even though healing meters are bullshit. Alright, but 40k, you know, you need some number to tell if you did good or bad, you know, if you should be doing something better or not. So, you know, when you have this massive massacre, you know, this blender in front of you with just dead dudes, and you just pulled out the amazing, like, 50k HPS and nobody died, that's amazing. You're out of mana, and you're like, oh my god, my fingers hurt, and my keyboard is missing 5 buttons, but you did it, and it feels really fucking good. Really good. So give it a try. Soul of the Forest with Rampant Growth. Very easy to screw up, but when you pull it off, really good. And I thank you a lot for watching. Bye-bye.